Welcome to The Nudge, where small shifts create powerful transformation. I'm Andrea McCabe, heart-centered educator and architect of awakening. In the past few episodes, we've been talking about listening. Listening to yourself, noticing the noise of the mind, and beginning to come back into your own presence. And what we started to see is that listening just isn't about hearing something. It's about how you are when you hear it. And today we're going to take that a little step farther. Because the way you learn to listen to yourself is the same way you listen to someone else. And this is where something really important begins to shift. This episode isn't just about listening. It's about listening without taking someone's power away. Pause for a moment. Let that sit. Because if you're like most people, when someone comes to you and they're really struggling, you don't just listen. You respond. You try to help, try to fix, try to guide, try to make it better. And it happens fast, almost automatically. And it usually comes from a good place. It comes from a place of caring. But what if when you're trying to help someone, you're actually taking away something from them? There's a pattern that shows up in relationships, often without us even realizing it. It's called the drama triangle, developed by Stephen Karpman. And it has three roles: the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. The victim is the one who is in the weakened state. They feel overwhelmed. They feel powerless, like something is happening to them. And in that space, they're often not looking for growth. They're looking for relief. And because they feel weak, they're looking for someone, something to help them feel stronger. Well, it certainly wouldn't be the persecutor, because that's the one who gets all the blame. This is the one seen as the problem, the one who did something wrong to me. Okay, sometimes it's valid, but in this particular dynamic, it becomes quite simplified. You see, the rescuer steps in to fix, to defend, to make everything better. And this is the role many of us fall into, especially when we care. Because here's what happens. The victim actually feels supported. The rescuer feels like they've done their job and have been very, very helpful. The persecutor, well, they just get blamed and everyone gives them dirty looks. But nothing actually changes. The victim is still the victim. The rescuer is still just swooping in to save the day, and the persecutor is off in the corner. Because instead of helping someone, the rescuer takes their power. Whew. Think about that for a moment. I think about that. I think about all the times in my life that I went in to try and fix something for someone. I was an educator for a long time. And until I understood this paradigm, I really was very, very much a rescuer. And I still get caught in it sometimes. When the rescuer takes away the power of the victim stays there. They stay small. And there's something else happening. As I said, the rescuer gets a bit of a rush. They often get an inflated sense of purpose, like they're fixing everything. It's like an emotional reward from stepping in and placing blame somewhere else. It feels an awful lot like helping, but it keeps that pattern in place. I saw this many times when I was a vice principal. A well-meaning parent would come in, ready to fight the battle for their child. Now, I was always telling parents that they do need to advocate for their children. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones who they would blame the system, they would blame other students, they would blame other parents, they would blame the school, they would blame me anything except their child's role in the situation. And while they believe they were actually helping their child, I would watch something different happen. I'd watch that child get smaller, because in that moment, they weren't being supported to grow. They were being pulled out of the very experience that could have helped them learn to take responsibility for things in their life. What many people may not have realized in that situation is that teenager, they already knew they made a mistake. They felt it. They're aware of it. Often they were just so embarrassed. They were embarrassed by the way the parent would step in to try to save them. And that embarrassment would just deepen. The reason for it, I believe, is because instead of being seen as someone capable of resolving their own things, they are being treated as a child. Now, this just doesn't happen in the big stuff like this. It could be a situation where a friend says, I don't know what to do. I feel stuck. And without thinking, we say, oh, you should leave. You deserve better. Here's what I would do. It sounds like support, but we've taken over. I remember a moment that really helped me understand this on a deeper level. I had a friend come up to me and said, did you hear? I looked at her and I thought, oh my gosh, what had happened? She said, my husband left me. Whoa. She started telling me everything that had happened, every intricate detail, all the ways he had treated her. And it was not good. This was not a good story. I could feel it in her. I could see it in her. The hurt, the frustration, the confusion. And as she was speaking, I could feel that familiar pull to say something like, oh my gosh, that's so terrible what he did to you. Oh my gosh, he's such a terrible person. But instead, I paused and I gave her the biggest smile. She said, what are you smiling about? I said, I'm so happy for you. She looked at me like I had completely lost my mind. And then I said to her, anyone who would treat you that way, that's not something you've lost. That's something you've been freed from. I had actually seen it a couple of years before. I had run into her and her fiance at the time at a coffee shop. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so excited that you're marrying my friend. She's so wonderful. And I was just going on. And he said, yeah, but you don't really know her. And I watched her crumble. And the next day I saw her. I'm like, okay, what's the deal here? What's going on? Do you love this guy? She said, oh yeah, I can't wait to get married. So I let it go. I knew there was no way that I could convince her, and I knew that wasn't my job. So when this happened a couple of years later, she stood in front of me in that moment. I just wasn't hearing her words from that time. I was seeing all of it. The gift for me was a few days later when she came up to me and she said, you know, you're the only person who didn't make me feel bad or make me feel small. A friend of mine calls this withnessing. It's not witnessing from the outside, but it's being with someone, journeying with them, without trying to change them. When we're rescuing, we say things like, you're broken. I'm going to take this away from you so you don't have to feel this pain. When we witness, we say, I'm here. I see you. And I'll be with you as you move through it. That's it. I'm going to give you 5 keys to help you understand this dynamic when it turns up in your life and what you can do to stop yourself from rescuing. So how do you actually notice when you slipped into rescuing and choose something different? Because this does happen fast, in real time, in real conversations, in a matter of seconds. So here are 5 very specific things to watch for. The first key is notice the exact moment your attention draws away from them. It draws away into thinking about what you're going to do to help them. The moment you start thinking in that way, you've left them. Pause. Come back. The second key is to notice when you start deciding what their experience means. Things like, you're better off. You should leave. In that moment, you've replaced their process with your conclusion. So return to curiosity. Key number 3 can be one of the most difficult. Notice the discomfort and lean into it. That urge to move things forward, to make it better, to change the moment. Just stay in it. Stay despite the discomfort. Key number 4 is notice when you step into the role of knowing. Here's what you need to do. Even if you're right, you've taken it out of their hands and they're still a victim. So pause and step back into your presence. The 5th key is determining who holds the power. All you do is ask yourself, who is holding the power right now? If it's you, give it back. Not by stepping away, but by staying and trusting. This isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about noticing. And when we notice, we have the opportunity to choose differently, one moment at a time. So here is the nudge this week. The next time someone comes to you and they're struggling, before you say anything, ask yourself this: am I about to take over, or am I staying with them? And then do this. Stay. Witness them. Stay in the silence. Stay in the discomfort. Stay with them without stepping in. Ask this one question. What's that been like for you? And then just listen. Just be. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is not your help. It's your trust in them. And when you trust them, you create the opportunity for them to rise into their own power. So that's your nudge this week. Honor that nudge, because shift happens. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. See you next week.